I'm leaving everything behind to be with you, and you can't follow through on this one thing for me.
I'm not your servant, for your kind info.
No, you're supposed to be my partner, and you're failing at it.
Oh gosh, Kimberly's only been in India for a matter of hours. But already, things couldn't have got off to a worse start. Her happy, positive personality cracked just as soon as she saw her new apartment. And now, she's furious.
This is not how I want to be treated for the rest of my life. This is not the man I want to marry.
Okay, don't marry me.
I think we could all see in the first episode that Kimberly seemed a little too positive. And now, despite TJ's best efforts, Kimberly's bottled up temper is about to explode in his face. But before we dive into their huge fight, let's rewind back to the start of this episode.
Today's the day. Moving to India, and I can't tell if I'm excited or not, to be honest.
Already, that's not a great start. Kimberly already seems to have doubts about whether or not she should be making this big move to India. Of course, she's allowed to feel nervous. It's a big move. But remember, these two bonded through a deep spiritual connection. Kimberly told us she met TJ in a dream, and TJ manifested the relationship into existence. I guess their spiritual certainty is about to be tested, especially as their wedding is just 9 days away.
I guess it's really just sinking in that everything's finally happening and I'm actually getting married in a few days. Ugh.
Kimberly sounds like getting married is a chore, like it's something she's been putting off for a while, like her taxes. Shouldn't she be excited? I think it's finally dawning on her just how massive a change she's making. And her nerves aren't helped by the fact that she has no idea what to expect for her wedding. She's had no control over any of the planning.
In the US, the wedding is usually planned by the bride. But in India, typically the families are more involved with the wedding.
To be fair to Kimberly, it does sound like TJ hasn't really involved her much in the process. You'd think he'd be rolling out the red carpet for a woman he pursued online and manifested into reality. But instead, he's kept her at arm's length.
And I feel like there's a lot of things that I'm still a little bit unsure about.
Clearly, she's been dreaming about her own wedding for a while. Years, probably. Kimberly's a psychic who makes a living telling others what their future holds. That, I think you'll agree, is ironic because I think her uncertainty is because of how unsure she is about her own future.
Right now, there's a lot that's out of my control between my wedding and my new apartment. And honestly, it's freaking me out.
This is a side of Kimberly that we're seeing more and more of. Take, for example, the construction of the apartment above TJ's family home. She wanted to be involved in every detail, even from 8,000 miles away. She left a specific set of instructions she expected to be followed. But we'll get back to the apartment a little later. For now, Kimberly's main concern is leaving home.
The first time I went to India, I was ready to get out of India. I was homesick.
Just to make sure, Kimberly, you do know that you're moving to India permanently, right? This could be a classic case of cold feet. But if she was so desperate to leave the first time, it's a little concerning. Of course, the first time she left was when she got engaged to TJ. This time, it won't be the puppy love phase anymore. They're going to be dropped slap bang into reality. There's going to be a ton of problems to deal with.
Once we are married, Kimberly will be expected taking care of whole household duties like cooking, cleaning.
For now, TJ's keeping this information to himself, which I'm sure will make a great wedding gift for his wife. The good news is that TJ's family do approve of the marriage, but they've also already formed an opinion that Kimberly's a little volatile, and TJ's brother isn't convinced that she'll be able to give up her Western ways. So landing in India, it seems like her partner is going to be her only true ally in the house. She'll be relying on TJ a lot.
To get married. I am not excited to see the apartment, but I have to give him the benefit of the doubt because he does say that it's going to be better in person.
I can't help but notice that her words don't match her attitude. I mean, if she's not excited to see the apartment, well, that means she's not giving TJ the benefit of the doubt, despite what she says. It's like she seems disappointed already. That might be something to keep an eye on. The fact that Kimberly says positive things, but seems to have a tough time following through with them. This is one of the things that TJ's parents worry about.
They might have a doubt, but I would say that she will learn. And I know one thing, she loves me very much.
This language about Kimberly learning to adapt to what's expected of her, it doesn't sound healthy. Especially when you remember that he still hasn't told her the full extent of her house duties. That cheeky grin on his face tells me that he's confident her love for him will outweigh everything. And for as romantic as that is, it seems like it might be a bit naive. Remember, it's Kimberly that's changing her entire life for him. He doesn't seem to be fully recognising this. If he doesn't make her feel appreciated, well, this is gonna end in disaster. Now, when the pair finally reunite, we get the classic 90 Day Fiance airport scene. It's a brief moment of happiness. It's a calm before the inevitable storm. Kimberly tells us that TJ can't kiss her in public. It's apparently frowned upon. So she's happy enough with a hug. But even so, it doesn't take long for Kimberly's anxieties to bubble up to the surface.
I don't know anything that's going on, and I'm just nervous because I like to control things.
You might be laughing now, TJ, but let's see how long it lasts. Kimberly can't relax for even a minute. The entire car journey home, TJ's doing everything he can to reassure her.
Well, I hope it's clean.
Yeah, it's clean. And the other thing is that I know that once you started like decorating thing, it's gonna be different completely.
Just look at that stare. That is not what Kimberly wanted to hear. She wanted the place ready when she arrived. It's like he's bracing her for a bumpy landing.
I am a little concerned about privacy. I love your family, but I'm nervous about like living with them.
I would be too. TJ's family are very close. They only have one bedroom. TJ's dad sleeps in the living room, while TJ and his brother take it in turns to sleep next to their mum in the same bed. That doesn't really sound like an equal partnership to me, but it might be a glimpse into a different future than Kimberly had imagined. Now, I get the impression that it's TJ's mother that has the power in the family. Whenever we see the family together, TJ's dad rarely talks. He looks shy, withdrawn, reserved. Now, this could be his personality, perhaps it's because the camera crew are there. But this isn't too dissimilar to other Indian mums that we've seen on the show. Many of them seem to be the matriarch of the family. And when she arrives at the family home, Kimberly makes sure she greets her in a very respectful way.
Welcome, Kimberly.
Namaste. Jai Shri Krishna.
Communication between Kimberly and TJ's parents is tough. TJ's mum is making an effort, but she doesn't speak much English. But as for TJ's dad, he sits there in the corner with a glum expression. He doesn't even crack a smile. And even when Kimberly gives him a gift, he kind of holds it in his hands awkwardly, almost like it's an advertisement. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. It's clearly TJ's mum that's running the show in this house. I think it will be interesting to see how over the next few weeks she adjusts to no longer being the only lady in the house. For now though, the time has finally come for TJ to take Kimberly upstairs to see her new home.
Okay, so are you ready for that apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Neither of them sound very confident. I think both know exactly how this is going to go. TJ gives a countdown from 10 like it's a bomb detonation. And to be honest, it might as well have been.
Oh.
Just look at that facial expression. Kimberly's arrived after a huge flight. She was hoping to settle in and rest in her new home. But instead, It's looking unfinished.
So, it's broken.
I see that.
It isn't the fanciest apartment, and TJ should have probably been more transparent with Kimberly. After all, how hard would it have been to just have a FaceTime call with her, share an update, let her see ahead of time what she was about to walk into? Maybe he wanted to delay getting this reaction, or maybe he just wanted to surprise her. He does seem quite excited. You can't ignore the fact that for a guy who shares a bed with his mum, regardless of the fact it's clearly not perfect, this is still a big milestone for him. So I can't help feeling bad for him. He did say it needed some work. I mean, yeah, it needs a lot of work, but he's doing his best. He's trying. And Kimberly's negativity has left him feeling fed up.
At least you can say that, okay, this works not well, we can do it later on.
Again, if we do that, though, it's going to waste money.
Wasting money of mine.
TJ's taken on a 7-year loan to be able to pay for the work to this apartment. That's a big commitment, and to be honest, if it were just his decision, they'd probably be living with his parents. This apartment was supposed to be a compromise. It was supposed to make Kimberly comfortable.
Why is the door in that doorway a different height?
Again, just to be clear, I do get where Kimberly's coming from. This isn't exactly the best welcome present, but she needs to accept that things are different here. And besides, the way TJ sees it, Kimberly's missing the whole point.
Hire up people from New York or something.
Obviously.
These are rural people. If they make it happen in 2 months, I'm grateful for them.
This perspective aligns with the spirituality that TJ practices. He tells us, for example, that he didn't want to disturb the man who was meant to fit their windows because the guy wasn't well. That's sweet. I mean, it's considerate, but it is also inconvenient. It now means that they're left with no windows, and Kimberly is struggling to see the positive side to this.
That they ripped him off. I think that they didn't do a good job, and I made specific requests, and they weren't followed through on.
Just to remind you, this is her first day. That affection from the airport didn't even last until they got in the car. Any mood that was still alive when they got to the house is now officially dead.
I was trying to fix everything slowly, taking the instructions for the Kimberly in the night because it's my morning.
How was she sending those instructions? With smoke signals? This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sure, I understand that time differences can cause a lot of complications, but a building plan should be relatively simple to follow. This sounds like a flimsy excuse, a way for TJ to avoid the fact that he didn't live up to some of the things he promised Kimberly. But even with that in mind, the bigger problem here is still how Kimberly is reacting.
That's why I always say that once you come here, if you want to change the things, it will be under your supervision.
Fine.
If this is indeed what TJ's been telling her, then Kimberly should have lowered her expectations a little. This entire apartment has been built in just 2 months. That's pretty rapid. Now, there are some question marks in my mind as to whether they've renovated the upstairs or built it from scratch, but either way, there can be no doubting that TJ's tried and taken on a lot of debt in the process. But Kimberly doesn't see it like that. To her, this is yet more evidence that TJ isn't acknowledging the sacrifices she's making for the relationship to work.
I'm leaving everything behind to be with you, and you can't follow through on this one thing for me.
I'm not your servant, for your kind info.
No, you're supposed to be my partner, and you're failing at it.
This was a fight that we all expected would happen, just maybe not so soon. Kimberly wants to feel more supported, but the reverse is also true. Instead of thanking and encouraging TJ, instead of pointing to the positives, all she's done is criticise. There was literally zero excitement from her. She wasn't able to see past where it currently is to what might be possible, especially now that she's there to help. The truth is that even before Kimberly stepped foot in the apartment, she already decided that she didn't like it. And that really annoys TJ.
Relax and just accept the fact that
I'm
this will
trying to
happen.
relax, but I couldn't even pee because you left that doorway wide open and there's not a curtain over there, so I can't freaking pee.
Wow, what happened to the spiritual, positive Kimberly? Bring her back. I mean, seriously though, this seems to be how Kimberly responds to pressure, especially when she loses control. That should be a bit of a red flag for TJ. There were so many different ways to handle this situation, but instead, Kimberly's chosen to make this a fight. And after all the effort and debt that he's put into this project, that isn't what TJ wants to hear.
This is not how I want to be treated for the rest of my life. This is not the man I want to marry.
Okay, don't marry me.
That escalated quickly, and I think it's a sign that both of these guys have a lot of fear. They're both scared. This is all totally new territory, and that is spilling over very quickly into something quite negative. If their relationship's going to stand any chance at all of surviving, they're going to need to work through these issues together as a team. Whether or not their relationship is strong enough to do that, we'll soon find out.